Annabelle's veil. The rain hadn't stopped since the Carter family arrived at Black Hollow Estate. Thick fog clung to the trees like spiderwebs, swallowing the winding driveway in silence. The car tires cracked over gravel as if hesitant to continue. Emily Carter, 17 and silently bitter, watched through the window, her breath fogging the glass. She didn't want to be here. Boston was behind them, friends, life, comfort, and now they were here, in the middle of nowhere, in a town that didn't even register on her phone's map. Her mother's words echoed in her mind, "It's a fresh start. A slower life. Just what we need." Emily disagreed. The estate was massive and tired-looking, draped in ivy and shadows. Towering turrets reached toward the sky, their windows black and hollow. The stone facade looked stained, as if it had absorbed decades of sorrow. The wrought iron gates groaned open, and the house loomed like something out of a Victorian nightmare. Her father parked in front of the arched wooden doors. "Well," he said, forcing cheer into his voice, "home sweet home." No one answered. Inside, the house smelled of mildew and something older, something sour and ancient. The floor creaked under their steps. The walls were lined with faded wallpaper, its floral pattern peeling at the corners. Cobwebs hung in the corners like forgotten memories. "This place needs some love," her mom said, too brightly. Emily said nothing. She dragged her suitcase up the grand staircase and found a room at the end of the second floor. It had a narrow arched window and an antique vanity coated in dust. The bed frame was iron, and the mattress sagged in the middle. She claimed it anyway. It was the furthest from her parents' room, and something about the loneliness appealed to her. That night, she couldn't sleep. The wind moaned through the eaves. Branches scratched at the windows like bony fingers. At exactly midnight, she heard a sound above her ceiling, a soft thump, like something falling. She sat up. Her room was freezing. She told herself it was nothing. But the next night, it happened again. And the next. Always at midnight. Always the same sound. On the fourth night, her curiosity overcame her fear. She slipped out of bed, pulled a hoodie over her pajamas, and crept into the hallway. The attic door was at the top of a narrow staircase behind the linen closet. She hadn't noticed it before. She climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking in protest. The attic door was slightly ajar. Pushing it open revealed a vast, dusty room cluttered with old furniture, boxes, and forgotten trunks. Her flashlight beam danced over a rocking chair, a cracked mirror, and shelves thick with dust. She turned slowly, and froze. There, sitting on an antique chair in the far corner, was a porcelain doll. It was pristine. Its dress was pink satin, trimmed with lace. Its blonde curls were perfect. Its glass eyes, blue and deep, were wide open, staring directly at Emily. A small, yellowed tag was tied around its neck with red ribbon. Annabelle. Emily stared, heart pounding. The doll felt wrong. Too perfect. Too deliberate. She backed away and left the attic without touching it. But she couldn't stop thinking about it. The next day, after school, a new school full of silent stairs and unfamiliar halls, she returned to the attic. This time, she picked the doll up. It was heavier than she expected. Cold. Lifeless. Yet, alive. She brought it to her room. That night, she dreamed of a girl in a pink dress standing beneath the trees outside. Her face was pale and blurred, her mouth moving silently. When Emily woke, the doll had fallen from its spot on the vanity. She blamed the wind. But the window was closed. The days passed. Her mother began to notice things missing. A spoon, a photograph, a silver hairbrush. Her father dismissed it all as settling in. But Emily started hearing whispers. Soft. Barely audible. Emily. Always when she was alone. The dreams got worse. Blood on the walls. Scratches on her arms she didn't remember getting. And always, always, the doll. One night, Emily's mother found her standing at the attic door at 3:07 a.m., eyes wide open, unmoving. "Emily?" she whispered. Emily turned slowly. Her face was blank. She had no memory of it the next morning. Her mother noticed it first. The way she avoided mirrors. The long hours she spent locked in her room, whispering. At dinner, she barely spoke. Her once bright eyes dulled. She didn't laugh anymore. She barely ate. The girl who had once groaned at family dinners now sat still, hands folded, eyes distant, like someone else was behind them. Her parents argued quietly at night. Emily heard them through the walls. "She needs help," her mother whispered. "She's just adjusting," her father replied. "It's a big change. She'll be okay." Emily wasn't okay. The whispers were getting louder. She no longer needed to be alone to hear them. Sometimes, she heard them in the shower. Sometimes, in class. Sometimes, she would look up and see a shadow standing behind someone, just for a second, and then it would vanish. Annabelle sat in her usual place on the vanity, her blue eyes gleaming. Emily talked to her every night. At first, she thought it was pretend. Then, the doll started answering. Not out loud. But in her mind. They shared secrets. Annabelle told her about the girl who owned her before. How she'd died in this house. How the others wouldn't listen. How they had locked her in the attic and left her to rot. She only wanted a friend, the voice in her head whispered. Emily began drawing strange things in her notebooks, circles with triangles, shapes she didn't understand, faces that weren't hers. When she came to, the drawings were done. Her fingers ached. Her nails were cracked. Her journals were filled with writing she didn't remember doing. One night, she woke to find herself sitting cross-legged on the floor, her arm bleeding, a knife in her hand. Annabelle sat in front of her. There was writing on the floor. In blood. "I am here," she screamed. Her parents rushed in. Her mother burst into tears. Her father tried to grab the knife. Emily bit him. The next morning, they made an appointment with a therapist in town. But Emily never made it there. The therapist's office burned down the night before the appointment. The fire was ruled electrical, but witnesses said they saw a girl in a pink dress standing outside, watching the flames. Emily began to speak in her sleep. Her voice changed, lower, older, twisted. She said things that weren't English. Words that made the air feel colder. One afternoon, she locked herself in her room for hours. When her mother finally broke the door open, she found Emily sitting in the center of a ring of salt, candles flickering around her. Her eyes were rolled back. Annabelle sat in her lap. Emily didn't remember it. But Annabelle did. The shadows were thicker now. Lights flickered when Emily entered a room. Mirrors cracked. The family dog refused to go near her. Her father started sleeping on the couch. Then came the bruises. They appeared on her arms and legs in the shape of fingers. Her mother cried when she saw them. Emily said nothing. She just stared at the ceiling. That night, Emily stood in front of the mirror and stared at her reflection. It smiled at her. But she didn't smile back. In town, an old priest named Father Adrian had heard rumors. He had lived through the death of the previous owners of the Black Hollow estate. A family torn apart by tragedy. The girl, Laura, had disappeared. Her parents were found dead, their faces twisted in terror. And before that? A different family. And another. Always the same house. Always the same room. Always the same doll. He opened the church's archives. He found newspaper clippings from the 1920s, an orphanage burned down. Only one object was recovered unscathed. A doll. Porcelain. Blonde curls. Blue eyes. Annabelle. He found a photo from 1931. The new owners of the Black Hollow estate. The little girl clutched the same doll in her arms. She was never seen again. Father Adrian packed his Bible and a vial of holy water. He knew what he had to do. That night, Emily was woken by a cold breeze. Annabelle was gone. She searched the room, panic rising in her chest. The window was open. She stepped outside into the hallway. The air was thick. Heavy. Charged. She heard footsteps, small, barefoot, padding down the hall. She followed them. Down the stairs. Into the parlor. There, sitting in the middle of the floor, was the doll. Beside it, carved into the wood, was a single word. Stay. Emily picked Annabelle up. She blacked out. She woke the next morning in bed, her arms scratched, her legs bruised, the sheets damp with blood. She didn't scream. She laughed. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.